Sham Sharadava Nalalida Loka Tranaya Karuna Gana Ganatvam Sham Sharadava Nalalida Loka Pranaya Karuna Gana Ganatam Praptasa Kalyana Gunana Vasa Vande Guru Shri Charana Ravindam Praptasa Kalyana Gunana Vasa Vande Guru Shri Charana Vande Guru Shri Vande Shri Charana Ravindam Vande Guru Vande Guru Shri Charana Ravindam Mahaprabhu ki Tananita Gita Vaditra Madhyam Manasurasena Romanchakam Pasru Taranga Baju Vande Guru Shri Charana Ravindam Shri Vigrahara Dana Nityanana Shringaratanama Niramarjanado Juktasya bhaktam sa niyunjatopi Vande Guru Shri Charana Ravindam Vande Guru Shri Charana Ravindam Vande Guru Shri Charana Ravindam Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasado Satvana Triptam Hari Bhakta Sangha Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasado Satvana Triptam Hari Bhakta Sangha Kritva Iva Tripti Bhajata Shadeva Vande Guru Shri Charana Ravindam Shiradikama Tabayara Para Madhurya Leela Gunarupa Namna Madhurya Leela Gunarupa Namna Pratikshana Swa Dhanalalupasa Vande Guru Shri Charana Ravindam Pratikshana Vande Guru ne kunja yuno rati kelisi jai jajari bir jokte apekshaniya ne kunja yuno rati kelisi jajari bir jokte tatrati daksha Otivalabhasa Vande Gurashi Charanarvindam Sakcha Dhari Daina Shamasta Shashri Ruktastatthava Vyataiva Sadvi Kintu Pravarja Priya Eva Tasya Vande Gudashi Charanaravrindam Yasya prasada bhagavat prasado Yasya prasada nagati kutapi Yasya prasada Yasya prasada nagati kutapi Dayam stuvam tasya yasatrin sandhyam Vande Gudashi Charanarvindam Dayam stuvam tasya yasatrin sandhyam Vande Gudashi Charanarvindam Vande Gurashi Charanarvindam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitina Mine Nama Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavari Pachatari Shatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, oh, Hare Krishna, oh, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, oh, Hare Rama, oh, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Nama Krishna Jadavaye Nama Jadavaye Madhavaya Keshavaye Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shrimadhu Sudam Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhattaraguna Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasaraguna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Shri Radha, Nila Madhava Radha, Nila Madhava Radhe. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadrama, Jaya Sudarshan Chakra. Netai Gaur Haribo, 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 Netai Gaur Haribo. Jai Vishnu Pad Paramsa Prabhajakacharya Sutra Sarashishi Maharaj Divine Grace Abhacharvina Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Pratishta Bhaviti Samstapakachara Vaishnava Sramani Patita Pavana Srila Prabhupada Ji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Gauriya Guru Varga Patita Udhara Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Guna Sadgoswami Prabhu Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ji Ki Jai अनंत कुति वैष्णव वृंद की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिव सरि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय जय परम दयाल से नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय जय प्रेम नाम संकीर्तन एक जनाक प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम श्री सच्चिदानंद स्मरण गौरंग चैतन्य महाप्रभु गौर हरि महावृणावतार की जय गोलोकेर प्रमधान हरिनाम संकीर्तन जग की जय जुग धर्म हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय Brihabdanga Transcendental Book Distribution Seva Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopakupna Radha Kund Syama Kungiri Raj Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Braja Bhum Vrindavan Mathurdam Ki Jai The Lordship Shri Radha Nilamadhava Ki Jai Shri Shri Mayapurna Bhadup Eka Chakradam Ki Jai Paramakaruna Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai Shri Purushottama Kitra Jagannath Puridham Ki Jai Shri Shri Jagannath Swami Baladev Prabhu Smaspadra Devi Sudarshan Chakra Bhagavan Ki Jai सीताराम लक्ष्मण भक्त हनुमान जी की जय भक्ति सर्व विघ्न विनाशन कनिष्ठंगरे भगवान की जय जगंगा माई जमुना माई की जय तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी भक्ति देवी की जय श्री मथुराधारानी की जय समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय श्री एकादशी व्रत की जय गौरी प्रमानंदे all glories to assembly bodies all glories to assembly bodies all glories to assembly bodies all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru Shri Gauranga.
Namaste Narasimhaya Namaste Narasimhaya Praladana Dadayine Hiranyakashipurvakshaha Shilatankanakalaye Ito Narasimha Parato Narasimha Yato yato yami tato Narasimha Bahir Narasimha Hridaye Narasimha Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapade Tava Karakamanavare Nakam Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringa Keshavadeta Narahari Rupa Jajagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare वृषभद्रेता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल लक्ष्मी नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय।
जय श्री श्री भक्ति पद सर्वविघ्नाश कृष्ण भगवान की जय। भक्त श्रेष्ठ प्रहलाद महाराज की जय। जय बोल हरि ब्रह्मानंदे हरि बोल।
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्णा प्रेयसी नमो नमः नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्णा प्रेयसी नमो नमः
तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नाम नमः
राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो ए अभिलाषी
राधा कृष्ण सेवा पाव अभिलाषी
राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो ए अभिलाषी
राधा कृष्ण सेवा पाव अभिलाषी
जितो मारा शरण लो तारा वंच पूरा न हो
जे तुम्हारा शरणाला तार बंच पुनः
कृपा कोरी कोरो तारे वृंदावन वासी
तुम्हें कृपा करे करतारे वृंदावन वासी
मोराए अभिलाष विलास कुंज दियो वास
मोराए अबेला विलास कुंज दियावा
नयने हरि वो सदा जुगल रूपरासी
अमीनायाने रिबो सदा जुगल रूपरासी
एई निवेदन धारो साखीर अनुगाता गोरो
निवेदन दर सकीर्यनु गताकर
सेवा अधिकारा दिए कोरो निज दासी
सेवाया दे कर दिए करने जदासी
दीना कृष्ण दासे कोई जीना मोरा होए
कृष्ण दास कौन ए नमोरा
श्री राधा गोविंदा प्रेमे सदा जीना भासी
श्री राधा गोविंदा प्रेम सरसे
श्री राधा गोविंदा प्रेमे सदा जीना भासी
श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेम सदा नवसे
यानि कानि च पापानि भ्रमाहत्याधिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणाशन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे
जानि कानि पापानि ब्रह्महत्यानि कानि तानि तानि प्रणाशन्ते प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्माहत्याधिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणाशन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
यानि कानि पापानि ब्रह्महत्यानि तानि तानि प्रणाशन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्माहत्याधिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणाशन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
यानि कानि सपापानि प्रमात्तरिकानि तनितानि प्रलसन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Tulsi Maharani
Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Tulsi Maharani
Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Vrinda Devi
Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Vrinda Devi
Nityai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nityai Gaura Hari Bol Nityai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nityai Gaura Hari Bol Srimati Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki Jai
Jai Shri Vrindai Tulasi Devai Priyayai Ke Sava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Pradede Shatabhaktai Namo Namaha Vrindayai Tulasi Devai Priyayai Ke Sava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Pradede Shatabhaktai Namo Namaha Vrindai Tulasi Devai Priyayai Ke Sava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Pradede Shatabhaktai Namo Namaha Shrimati Tulasi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki Jai. O Tulasi, beloved Krishna, I bow before you again and again. My desire to obtain the service which is Shri Radha and Krishna. Lord, take shelter of yours wishes fulfilled. Bestow your mercy upon him, you make him resident of Vrindavan. My desire is that you also give me a residence in pleasure groves of Shri Vrindavan Dham. Thus, within my vision, I will always behold the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a follower of Kavadamsas of Raj. Please give me the privilege of gospel service and make me your own man servant. This very holy and lowly servant of Krishna praise. May I always stream in love Shri Radha and go. Shri Mati Tulsi Maharani ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shri Krishna Kam ki Jai. तव कृपया भगवान् मम दुर्दैवमिति शम्या जनिनानुराग त्रिनादपि सुनिचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानिना मानदेन कीर्तनीयाक्षरा हरिः नदनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितं व्रजकरीशकामयि मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरि भवता भक्तिरहैतुकी त्वयि मयि नन्दतनुजकिङ्करं त्वरितं मां स्वमेव मां कृपया तव पादपङ्कजस्तुली सदृशं विचिन्तये नयनं नवरश्रुधारय वादनं कृतहृदयगीर पुलकैर्जितवपुकद नवनामकहमेव विशति उदायितं निमिषेण चक्षुषर्वविषयितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दविरहे नमः आश्रितसदापवर्तं पुनस्त्वमां आरक्षणामहं करोतु चितावितावाविदधातुलं ततो मत्मानसेवनाकरम् हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु श्री कृष्ण की Glory to the Krishna Sankirtan. His pleasure the Father is dust of the for years, and his tender should defy the conditional life of repeated birth and death. His Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large. God is spreads the right of the benediction movement. It is the last whole transcendental moment. It increases the ocean transcendental bliss and enables us to invest in the net of which all the winning of the rain of all benedictions with the wings, and thus your hundred millions in name like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, Govinda is the all your transcendental energy. There is no even hard and fast rule for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by a holy name. But I'm so unfortunate I have no attraction for them. Once you chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than stone is street, one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire for wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causes divorce to birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yes, some or other, I'm falling this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and bless me as one of the atoms of your lotus feet. O my Lord, or will my eyes be decorated with tears of love, flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? Or will my voice choke out? And will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Oh Govinda, in your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from eyes like torrents in rain. And I feel all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord. And he should remain so, even if humbles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, but is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Shri 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 Krishna Ki Jai. Oh my Lord. There are 10 offenses in our chanting the holy name of the Lord that should be avoided. They are as follows: 1. Blasphemy, devoted to dedicating life or propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider names of demigods, the Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, to be equal to or independent from the name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. Blasphemy the Vedic rules or rules of sons of perversion. 5. To consider the glory of chanting Hare Krishna as your incarnation. 6. To give
meditation on the name of the Lord. So God fears and strength to chant the Lord.
Consider chanting Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious spiritualistic activities which often varies as through yoga activity. 9. Mr. This person, glories to holy name. 10. Learn how to complete faith, chanting the holy names, and to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions this morning. Each of someone who tangible chanting every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must carefully having understanding offenses in order to quickly desire success. Now let us also have some businesses and all Vaishnavas who devote to the Lord. They are just like trees, they can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditions of some. But in chapel to the Lord, the Prabhupada, and the Ram, Bhavani, Guru, Vaishnava.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Janmad Yasya Yato Nivayad Yataratas Chartesu Abhigyaswarat. Dene Brahma Hridaya Adhikavaye Muyantayat Suryaha. Madam Vinimayo Yatra Trisago Misha. Damna Svena Sadari Rasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dimayi. O my Lord Shri Krishna, Son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes, of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations. And he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen on fire or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Dharma projita kaitruvotra, paramo nirmatsaranam satam, vedyam vastavam atra vastu, shivadam tapa trayon mulanam, shrimad bhagavate mahamani krite, kim va purer ishvaraha, sadyo hridi avurudite tra, krite bihi sususubhistakshanat, completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated. This Bhagavad Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in its maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. Nikama kalpataro galitam phalam, sukhamukad amrita dravya samyitam, pibata bhagavatam rasam alayam, muhur aho raska bhuvibhavaka. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam,
O expert and thoughtful men, relish
the mature fruit of the desired true Vedic literatures.
mature fruit they desire to very
It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami.
emanating from the lips of Sri Shukadeva.
Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful.
Therefore, this food has become even more
Although its nectar and juice was already relishable,
although his nectarian juice was already
including liberated souls.
including the grace
Shinvatam Swakata Krishna,
Shambhatam Swakata Krishna
Punya Shravana Kirtan,
Punya Shravana Kirtan
Hiryantak Stohi Abhadrani, Vidunati Suhit Satam. To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures,
to hear about Krishna
or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad
or to
Gita,
hear from him directly
is itself righteous
it
activity.
is self-right.
And for one who hears about Krishna,
For one who hears about
Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart,
Krishna's dwelling within
acts as a best wishing friend
acts as the best
and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him.
right because constantly engages in hearing.
Nasta presu bhadresu
Preshva
nityam bhagavata sevaya
Bhagavata
bhagavati utamasloke bhaktir bhavadinaistaki. In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge.
in this way the devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental.
As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam
He hears more about Krishna from the
and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord.
He becomes fixed in devotional service.
Tadarajas tamo bhava
Rajastamo Bhava
kamalobhadayaschaye
Kamalo Badaya
chete taranavidam
Chaitana
stitvam sattve prasidati.
Tam Sarve Prasthi.
By development of devotional service,
By development of devotional
one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance,
one becomes free from the modes of passion.
and thus material lust and avarice are diminished.
And thus material lust and avarice are diminished.
Evam prasana manaso
Evam prasana manasa
bhagavat bhakti yogataha
bhakti yoga
bhagavat tattva vijnanam
tattva jnana
bhakta sanghasya jayate.
mukta
When these impurities are wiped away,
When these impurities are wiped,
the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness,
the candidate remains steady in his position of goodness,
becomes enlivened by devotional service,
becomes enlivened by
and, and understands the science of God perfectly.
and understands the
Vidyate hridaya grantis,
Vidyate Hridaya Granthi,
chidyante sarva samsaya,
Chidyante Sarva,
siyante chashikarmani,
Chidyante Chasakara,
justa evatmanishwari.
Justa Evatmanishwara.
Thus, Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affection
Thus, the Bhakti Yoga serves the heart of material affection
and enables one to come at once to the stage of a samsayam samagram,
and enables one to come at once to the stage of assumption from Brahman,
understanding of the Supreme Absolute Truth Personality of Godhead.
understanding the supreme absolute truth of personality of God.
Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness
Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his word
can one understand the science of Krishna.
can one understand the science of Krishna.
Shishi Guru Vastika Prayers Ki Jai. The spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy, just as a cloud pours water on a forest fire to extinguish it.
The spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy, just as a cloud pours water on the forest fire to extinguish it.
So the spiritual master delivers the materially afflicted world by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence.
So the spiritual master delivers the material afflicted will by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence.
From my respectful obeisance to Lotus Feet, such a spiritual master is an ocean of auspicious qualities.
From my respectful obeisance unto Lotus, because such a spiritual master is an ocean of species.
Chanting the holy name, dancing in ecstasy, singing and playing musical instruments.
Chanting the holy name, dancing, ecstasy, singing, and playing musical
The
instruments.
spiritual master is always gladdened by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
The spiritual master is always gladdened by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya,
Because he is relishing the mellows of pure devotion within his mind.
because relishing the mellows of pure devotion within him.
Sometimes his hair stands on end.
Sometimes it has stains,
He feels quivering in his body,
feels quivering in his
and
body,
tears flow from his eyes like waves.
and tears fall from eyes like
I offer my respectful obeisance unto the Lotus Feet of such a spiritual master.
from my respectful obeisance to Lotus feet of such a spiritual
The
master.
spiritual master is always engaged in the temple worship of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna.
The spiritual master is always engaged in the temple worship of Shri Radha.
He also engages his disciples in such worship.
He also engages disciples in such
They dress the deities in beautiful clothes and
They
ornaments,
use the deeds in beautiful clothes,
clean their temple,
clean the
and
temple,
perform other similar worship of the Lord.
and perform other similar worship.
I offer my respectful obeisance unto the Lotus Feet of such a spiritual master.
Offer my respectful obeisance to Lotus feet of such
The spiritual master is always offering Krishna four kinds of delicious food,
The spiritual master is always offering Krishna from kind of delicious,
analyzes that which is licked, chewed, drunk, and sucked.
and that which is a lecture, drunk,
When the spiritual master sees that the devotees are satisfied by eating Bhagavat Prasadam,
the spiritual master sees that the devotees are satisfied by eating Bhagavad
he
Prasad.
is satisfied.
He is satisfied.
I offer my respectful obeisance unto the Lotus Feet of such a spiritual master.
I offer my respectful obeisance to the Lotus feet of such
The spiritual master is always eager to hear and chant about the unlimited conjugal pastimes of Radhika and Madhava.
The spiritual master is always eager to hear and chant
and their qualities, names, and forms.
and their quality names and
The
forms.
spiritual master aspires to relish these at every moment.
The spiritual master aspires to relish these at
I offer my respectful obeisance unto Lotus Feet of such a spiritual master.
I offer my respectful obeisance unto Lotus feet of such.
The spiritual master is very dear because he is expert at assisting the gopis who at different times make different tasteful arrangements for the perfection of Radha and Krishna's conjugal loving affairs within the groves of Vrindavan.
The spiritual master is very dear because he is expert in assisting the gopis who at different times make different tasteful arrangements for the perfection of Radha and Krishna conjugal loving affairs within the groves of Vrindavan.
Offering my most humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master.
I offer my humble obeisance unto Lotus feet of such.
The spiritual master is to be honored as much as the Supreme Lord because he is the most confidential servitor of the Lord.
The spiritual master is to be honored as much as the Supreme Lord because he is the most confidential servant of the Lord.
This is acknowledged in all revealed scriptures and followed by all authorities.
All revealed scriptures and followed by all authorities.
Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master who is a bona fide representative of Sri Hare Krishna.
Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisance to Lord of such a spiritual master who is the born of a representative of Sri Hare Krishna.
By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the benediction of Krishna.
By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receive the benediction.
Without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement.
Without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement.
Therefore, I shall always remember and praise the spiritual master.
Therefore, I should always remember and praise the spiritual master.
At least 3 times a day, I should offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master.
At least 3 times a day, I should offer my respectful obeisance to the Lord of feet for my spiritual master.
Shri Brahma Samhita Ki Jai, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadiraja Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam.
Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadiraja Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam.
Chintamani Prakarasatma Sukalpa Vriksha
Chintamani Prakarasadma Sukalpa Vriksha.
Laksha Vrite Suravira Vipalyantam
Lakshya Vitesha Suravira Vipalayantam.
Lakshmi Sahasra Satasambrama Sevyamanam
Lakshmi Sahasha Sata Sambrama Sevyamanam.
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Venam Kvananta Arvinda Dalayataksham
Venam Kvantam Arvinda Dayalata.
Varhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam
Bhagavata Samasitam Buddha Sundaram.
Kandarpakoti Kamaniya Visesa Sobham
Kandar Prakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobha.
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham.
Alola Chandrika Lasadvana Malya Vamsi
Alora Chandrakala Sarvanamalya Bhavasa.
Ratnam Gadam Pranayakeli Kalavilasam
Pranangadam Pranayakeli Kalavilasam.
Shamam Chibanga Lalitani Yataprakasam
Yamam Tribhangalaritam Yataprakasam.
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham.
Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vrittimanti
Angani Yasa Sakalendriya Vrittimanti.
Pasyanti Panti Kalyanti Chiram Jaganti
Pasyanti Panti Kalayanti Chiram.
Ananda Chinmaya Sadujvala Vigrahasya
Ananda Chinmaya Sadujala Vigraha.
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham.
Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam
Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantaru.
Adyam Purana Purisham Navayovanam Cha
Adyam Purana Purusham Navajovanam.
Vede Sudurlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhakto
Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham.
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham.
Pantastu Koti Satavatsara Sampragamyo
Pandhatu Koti Sadavassara Sampradam.
Vayorata Bimanaso Muni Pungamanam
Vayu Ratapi Manaso Muni Pungava.
Sopyastiyat Prapadasimya Vichintya Tatve
Sophyasti Yatrupada Simcha Chincha.
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham.
Ekopya Sora Chayatum Jagadanda Kotim
Ekapya Sura Chaticham Jagananda Kuti.
Yaschaktirasti Jagadanda Chayayadanta
Yachaki Rasi Jagananda Chayada.
Andantarashta Paramanu Chayantarastam
Dantarasta Paramanu Chayanta.
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham.
Yat Bhava Bhavita Diyo Manajasthataiva
Yadbhava Bhavita Diyo Manijastata.
Samprapya Rupa Mahimas Yanas Anusanubhusaha
Samprapya Rupa Mahimasana Yana Bhushaha.
Suktar Yameva Nigama Pratitaistuvanti
Shukter Yameva Nigama Pratitestuvanti.
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham.
Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitabhis
Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavita
Tabirya Eva Nijarupataya Kalabi
Tabhirya Eva Nija Rupataya Kala
Goloka Eva Nivasata Kilatma Bhuto
Goloka Eva Nivasatya Kilatma Bhuta
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham
Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena
Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochana
Santak Sadeva Hidesu Vilokayanti
Santasa Deva Hrideshu Vilokya
Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam
Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswaram
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Ramadi Murti Sukalani Amenatistan
Ramadi
Nanavatarama
Shukalani Yamainatis
Nanavataram Akarod Bhuvanesa Kintu
Nana Vatara Makaroti Vanishu
Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Parama Ha Pramamyo
Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramam Pumanyi
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Adi
Paramaha
Purusham
Yasya Prabha Prabhuto Jagananda Kotim
Yasya Prabha Prabhavatu Jagananda
Kotishva Sesu Vasudadi Vibhuti Binam
Kotya Svashesha
Tad Brahma
Vasudhani
Niskalam
Vibhuti
Tad Brahma Niskalam Anantama Sesa Bhutam
Tat Brahma Niskalam Anantama Shesha Bhutam
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham
Maya Hiyasya Jagananda Satani Sute
Maya Yasa Jagananda Shatani
Taigun Yatad Vishaya Veda Vitayamanam
Saigonya Vishaya Veda Vitaya
Sattva Pralambi Parasatvam Visuddha Sattvam
Sadva Balambi Param Sattva Visuddha
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Ananda Chinmaya Rasatmataya Manasu
Ananda Chinmaya Rasatmanaya
Ya Praninam Pratifalam Smaratam Upetya
Ya Pranidam Pratipalam Smartam Mupi
Lilayatena Bhuvanani Jaya Yajasram
Lilayitena Bhuvanani Jajaja
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Goloka Namni Nichidamni Talechatasya
Goloka Namni Nijadami Talam
Devi Mahesa Haridama Sate Satesu
Mahesha Haridama Sutesha
Te Te Prabhava Nichaya Vitaschayena
Dede Prabhavani Jaya Vihita
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Shristi Stati Pralaya Sadhana Saktireka
Sriti Stiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti
Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga
Jayeva Yasa Bhuvanani Vibhakti
Ichanurupam Apiyasya Chachestate Sa
Ichanurupam Apiyasya Chate
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Shiram Yata Dadi Vikara Vishesha Yoga
Giram Yatara Didikara Vishesha Yoga
Sanjayate Nahitata Pritagasti Hetoho
Sanjaya Te Nahitata Pritak Asti
Yasam Bhutam Apitata Samapaiti Karyat
Yasam Utam Apitata Samupaiti
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Departure Eva Hita Santam Mabhyapetya
Dipajireva Hita Sakaramu
Dipayate Vivita Hetu Samanu Dharma
Dipayate Vivita Hita Samanadham
Yastadrigeva Hicha Vishnu Taya Vibhati
Yastadikeva Hicha Vishnu Sayabhi
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Adi Purusham
Yakarna Nardam Vajale Bhajati Isma Yoga
Yakara Nanna Bale Jali Bhajistam
Nidram Ananta Jagananda Saroma Kupaha
Idram Ananta Jagananda Saruma Kupa
Adhara Shaktim Avalamya Param Swamurtim
Adhara Shaktim Avalambya Param Sumurti
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Adi Purusham
Yasyaika Nisvasitakala Matavalambya
Yasheka Nisvasita Kalam Atavala
Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagadanda Nataha
Vanti Roma Vilaja Jagaranta
Vishnu Mahansahi Yasya Kala Vishesho
Vishnu Mahamahiya Jasya Kala Visheshu
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Adi Purusham
Vasman Yatasma Sakaleshu Nijesu Tejaha
Vashman Yatasma Sakaleshu
Swiyam Kiyat Prakatiyat Apitadvadatra
Shriyam Kiyat Prakata Siddhapita
Brahma Yesa Jagadanda Vidana Karta
Maya Esha Jagananda Vidana
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Adi Purusham
Yat Pada Palava Yugam Vinidaya Kumbha
Yapada Palava Yugam Vidaya
Dvandve Pranama Samaya Kanadi Rajaha
Dvindve Parama Samaye Sakanati Raja
Vignan Vihantam Alamasya Jagatrayasya
Vignam Vihanam Alam Yasya Jagata
Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Agnir Mahi Gaganamambu Marudisascha
Agni
Kalastatatma manasitti jagatchayani Yasmad bhavanti vibhavanti vishanti yamcha Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yaschak Suresh Savita Sakala Grahanam Raja Samasta Murtir Asesha Tejaha Yasya Gaya Brahmati Sambrita Kala Chakro Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Dharmo Tapapa Nichaya Sutayastapamsi Ramadi Kita Patakava Dayascha Jivaha Yadata Matra Vibhava Prakata Prabhava Vibhava Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yastrindra Gopa Matavendra Mahoswakarma Bandhan Rupa Falabhajana Matanoti Karmani Nirdhati Kintu Chapakti Bhajam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yam Krodha Kama Sahaja Pranayadi Vidhi Vatsalya Moha Guru Gaurava Sevya Baba Hai Sanchityatasya Sadrisim Tanamapurete Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Shiyakanta Kanta Paramapurusha Kalpataravo Druma Bhumish Chintamani Ganamayi Toyamamritam Kata Ganam Natyam Gamanam Abhivamsi Priyasaki Chidanantam Jyoti Param Apitad Aswadyam Apicha Sayacha Shiradi Bihi Swabati Surabi Vyascha Sumahan Nime Sardakyo Vavrajati Nahiyatrapi Samaya Bhaje Svita Dvitam Tamaham Iha Golakam Itiyam Vedantaste Santakshiti Virachara Katipaye Shri Ishopanishad Ki Jai Om Purnam Ada Purnam Idam Purnat Purnam Udachate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate Ishavaisham Idam Sarvam Jatkinja Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tena Bunjitaha Magridaha Kashasvidanam Kurvani Vahakarmani Jijivajek Chatam Samaha Evam Tvayi Nanyatetosti Nakarma Lipyate Nare Asurya Namate Loka Andena Tamasamvritaha Tamste Pratya Bhikachanti Eke Chatmahano Janaha Anijadika Manaso Javyo Nena Devam Apravam Pravam Asat Davatu Jnana Teti Tistat Tasmin Apum Matarisvadadati Tadejati Tadejati Tadure Tadvantike Tadantarasya Sarvasya Tadu Sarvasya Shabhayataha Yastu Sarvani Bhutani Atmani Evanupasyate Sarvabhute Sujatmanam Tatona Vichigupsate Yastu Sarvani Bhutani Atme Vibhud Vijanataha Tatrako Mohakaha Soka Ekatmam Anupasyataha Sa prayagachukam avarnam asnavidam sudam apapavidam kavir manisi paribu swayambhu yata tat yutorutan vyadadat chasvatipyaha samabhyaha. Yatatat yutorutan vyadadas chasvatipyaha samabhyaha antam tamaha pravisanti yevidyam upasyate tato bhuyavate tomo yayuvidyayam rataha. Anya devahur vidyaya anyadahura vidyaya iti susrumadhiranam yenascha nenastad vichachakshire. Vidyam cha yasyastad vedo bayam saha vidyaya militam titva vidyayam ritamastute. Andham tamaha pravisanti ye sambhutim upasyate tato bhuyavate tamo yayu sambhutam rataha. Anyad ebahur sambhavad anyad ahur asambhavad iti susrumadhiranam yenastad vichachakshire. Sambhutim cha vinasam cha yastad vedobhayam saha vinasena militum tirva sambhutam britamastute. Hiranmayana patrena satyasya pitam mukam tatvam pusam apavrinu satyadharmaya dristaye. Pusane kase yamasuya prajapatya vyuharasmin samaha tejo yatte rupam kayanatamam tate pasyami yo savaso purushaha sohamasmi. Vayuranilaman vitam matedam vasmantam sariram om kratos smara kritam smara kratos smara kritam smara. Agnenaya upadara yasman vishwani deva vayunani vidvan yo dajmas juhuralamino puyastam te nama uktim vinima om tatsat. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, Text number 4. Atir apatyam abhikankshata ahatusto dato mayaham iti yad bhagavan sadata yat pada pankaja paraga pavitra deha yogadlim apur ubayim yadu hai yada hai yada. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The great sage Atri prayed for offspring, and the Lord, being satisfied with him, promised to incarnate as Atri's son, Dattatreya, Datta, the son of Atri. And by the grace of the lotus feet of the Lord, many Yadus, Haihayas, etc., became so purified that they obtained both material and spiritual blessings. Purport. By His divine grace, A. Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Transcendental relations between the personality of Godhead and the living entities are eternally established in 5 different affectionate humors, which are known as Santa, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. The sage Atri was related with the Lord in the affectionate Vatsalya humor, and therefore, as a result of his devotional perfection, he was inclined to have the personality of Godhead as his son. The Lord accepted his prayer, and he gave himself as the son of Atri. Such a relation of sonhood between the Lord and his pure devotees can be cited in many instances. And because the Lord is unlimited, he has an unlimited number of father devotees. Factually, the Lord is the father of all living entities, but out of transcendental affection and love between the Lord and his devotees, the Lord takes more pleasure in becoming the son of a devotee than in becoming one's father. The father actually serves the son, whereas the son only demands all sorts of services from the father. Therefore, a pure devotee who is always inclined to serve the Lord wants him as the son and not as the father. The Lord also accepts such service from the devotee, and thus the devotee becomes more than the Lord. The impersonalists desire to become one with the Supreme, but the devotee becomes more than the Lord, surpassing the desire of the greatest monist. Parents and other relatives of the Lord achieve all mystic opulences automatically because of their intimate relationship with the Lord. Such opulences include all details of material enjoyment, salvation, and mystic powers. Therefore, the devotee of the Lord does not seek them separately, wasting his valuable time in life. The valuable time of one's life must therefore be fully engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Then, other desirable achievements are automatically gained. But even after obtaining such achievements, one should be on guard against the pitfall of offenses at the feet of the devotees. The vivid example is Hai Haya, who achieved all such perfection in devotional service, but because of his offense at the feet of a devotee, he was killed by Lord Parasurama. The Lord became the son of the great sage Atri and became known as Dattatreya. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The great sage Atri prayed for offspring, and the Lord, being satisfied with him, promised to incarnate as Atri's son, Dattatreya, Datta the son of Atri. And by the grace of the lotus feet of the Lord, many yadus, high hayas, etc., became so purified that they obtained both material and spiritual blessings. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Well, this story, or the history of Atri Muni, is in Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, chapter 1, verse number 15, where it says, Anasuya, the wife of Atri Muni, gave birth to 3 very famous sons, Soma, Dattatreya, and Durvasa, who were partial representations of Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, and Lord Brahma. Soma was a partial representation of Lord Brahma. Dattatreya was a partial representation of Lord Vishnu, and Durvasa was a partial representation of Lord Shiva. Purport by His Divine Grace. In this verse, we find the words Atma Isha Brahma Sambhavan. Atma means the super soul, or Vishnu. Isha means Lord Shiva. And Brahma means the four-headed Lord Brahma. The 3 sons, born of Anasuya, Dattatreya, Durvasa, and Soma, were born as partial representations of these 3 demigods. Atma is not in the category of the demigods or living entities because he is Vishnu. Therefore, he is described as Vivinamsa Bhutanam. The super soul Vishnu is the seed-giving father of all living entities, including Brahma and Lord Shiva. Another meaning of the word Atma may be accepted in this way: the principle, who is the super soul in every Atma. Or one may say, the soul of everyone became manifested as Dattatreya because the word Amsa, part, and parcel is used here. In the Bhagavad Gita, the individual souls are also described as parts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Super Soul. So why not accept that Dattatreya was one of those parts? Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are also described here as parts. So why not accept all of them as ordinary individual souls? The answer is that the manifestations of Vishnu and those of the ordinary living entities are certainly all parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, and no one is equal to him. But among the parts and parcels, there are different categories. In the Varaha Purana, it is nicely explained that some of the parts are Svamsa and some are Vibhinamsa. Vibhinamsa parts are called Jivas, and Svamsa parts are in the Vishnu category. In the Jiva category, the Vibhinamsa parts and parcels, there are also gradations. That is explained in the Vishnu Purana, where it is clearly stated that the individual parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord are subject to being covered by the external energy called illusion or Maya. Such individual parts and parcels, who can travel to any part of the Lord's creation, are called Sarva Gata and are suffering the pangs of material existence. They are proportionately freed from the coverings of ignorance under material existence according to different levels of work and under different influences of the modes of material nature. For example, the sufferings of jivas situated in the mode of goodness are less than those of jivas situated in the mode of ignorance. Pure Krishna consciousness, however, is the birthright of all living entities, because every living Pure Krishna consciousness, however, is the birthright of all living entities, because every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. The consciousness of the Lord is also in the part and parcel, and according to the proportion to which that consciousness is cleared of material dirt, the living entities are differently situated. In the Vedanta Sutra, the living entities of different gradations are compared to candles or lamps with different candle power. For example, some electric bulbs have the power of 1,000 candles, some have the power of 500 candles, some the power of 100 candles, and some 50 candles, etc. But all electric bulbs have light. Light is present in every bulb, but the gradations of light are different. Similarly, there are gradations of Brahman. The Vishnu Swamsa expansions of the Supreme Lord in different Vishnu forms are like lamps. Lord Shiva is also like a lamp, and the supreme candle power is Krishna. And the supreme candle power, or the 100% light, is Krishna. The Vishnu Tattva is 94%. The Shiva Tattva is 84%. And Lord Brahma has 78%. And the living entities are also like Brahma, but in the conditioned state, their power is still more dim. There are gradations of Brahman, and no one can deny this fact. Therefore, the words Atmesha, Brahma Sambhavam indicate that Dattatreya was directly part and parcel of Vishnu, whereas Durvasa and Soma were parts and parcels of Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
So, Maharaj, will you have a name?
Huh?
The third name of Durvasa?
Well, you have Atri Muni is the father, right? And there's Dattatreya and Durvasa and Soma.
Soma, okay.
Yeah, sun god. So Atri Muni's was, his wife was Anasuya, but he was somewhat of an impersonalist, and not like a hardcore impersonalist, but he was somewhat impersonal. He had an impersonal understanding, so he wanted God to be his son, but he wasn't sure who is God. So therefore, Dattatreya, Durvasa, and Soma appeared, right? So Dattatreya, the first one, is Vishnu, right? But why did three of them appear? Because he wasn't sure who was God. Right? No, Gunavatars are Vishnu and Shiva and Brahma. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean these are Durvasa is partial representation of Shiva, and Soma is partial representation of Brahma. So anyway, he has three personalities that appear because he wasn't sure. So, but actually, Dattatreya is Lord Vishnu or incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Okay. So here in the previous verse to that, this 4:114, it says, "My dear Vidura, of the two sons, Kashyapa and Purnima begot three children." Okay, so this is the. No, okay, let's go to the next one. And then, 1 second. I'll go to the next one. So it says, after hearing this, Vidura inquired from Maitreya, "My dear master, how is it that the three deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, who are the creator, maintainer, and destroyer of the whole creation, became the offspring of the wife of Atri Muni?" Purport. The inquisitiveness of Vidura was quite fitting, for he understood that when the Supersoul, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva all appeared through the person of Anasuya, the wife of Atri Muni, there must have been some great purpose. Otherwise, why should they have appeared in such a way? And the next verse says, Maitreya said, when Lord Brahma ordered Atri Muni to create generations after marrying Anasuya, Atri Muni and his wife went to perform severe austerities in the valley of the mountain known as Riksha. In that mountain valley flows a river named Nirvindya. On the bank of the river are many asoka trees and other plants full of palasa flowers, and there is always the sweet sound of water flowing from a waterfall. The husband and wife reached that beautiful place. There the great sage concentrated his mind by the yogic breathing exercises, and thereby controlling all attachment. He remained standing on one leg only, eating nothing but air, and stood there on one leg for 100 years. He was thinking, may the Lord of the universe, of whom I have taken shelter, kindly be pleased to offer me a son exactly like him. See, that's the point. He says, exactly like him. He doesn't say him. Right? It appears that the great sage Atri Muni had no specific idea of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, he must have been conversant with the Vedic information that there is a Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the creator of the universe, from whom everything emanated, who maintains this created manifestation, and in whom the entire manifestation is conserved after dissolution. Yatovā imani bhutani, Taittiriya Upanishad 3.1.1. The Vedic mantras give us information of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Atri Muni concentrated his mind upon that Supreme Personality of Godhead, even without knowing his name, just to beg from him a child exactly on his level. This kind of devotional service in which the knowledge of God's name is lacking is also described in Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord says that 4 kinds of men with backgrounds of pious activities come to him asking for what they need. Atri wanted a son exactly like the Lord, and therefore he is not supposed to have been a pure devotee. There it is. Because he had a desire to be fulfilled, and that desire was material. Although he wanted a son exactly like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this desire was material because he did not want the personality of Godhead himself, but only a child exactly like him. If he had desired the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his child, he would have been completely free of material desires because he would have wanted the Supreme Absolute Truth. But because he wanted a similar child, his desire was material. Thus, Atri Muni cannot be counted among the pure devotees. So we see the difference here between Atri Muni and Vasudeva and his wife Devaki. They specifically wanted Krishna. Atri Muni wanted, because he was knowledgeable in the Vedas, but not in, let's say, Bhagavad Gita, where the name of Krishna is specifically given, or Srimad Bhagavatam, where the name of Krishna is specifically given. So he gets a partial representation of the Lord as Lord Vishnu. So the next verse, let's see what it says here. While Atri Muni was engaged in these severe austerities, a blazing fire came out of his head by virtue of his breathing exercise, and that fire was seen by the 3 principal deities of the 3 worlds. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the fire of pranayama is mental satisfaction. That fire was perceived by the Supersoul Vishnu, and thereby by Lord Brahma and Shiva also perceived it. Atri Muni, by his breathing exercise, concentrated on the Supersoul, or the Lord of the Universe. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord of the Universe is Vasudeva, Vasudeva Saramiti, Bhagavad Gita 7:19. And by the direction of Vasudeva, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva work. Therefore, in the direction of Vasudeva, both Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva perceived the severe penance adopted by Atri Muni, and thus they were pleased to come down, as stated in the next verse. At that time, the 3 deities approached the hermitage of Atri Muni, accompanied by the denizens of the heavenly planets, such as the celestial beauties, the Gandharvas and the Siddhas, the Vidyadharas and the Nagas. Thus they entered the ashrama of the great sage, who had become famous by his austerities. It is advised in the Vedic literatures that one should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Lord of the universe and the Master of creation, maintenance, and dissolution. He is known as the Supersoul, and when one worships the Supersoul, all other deities such as Brahma and Shiva appear with Lord Vishnu, because they are directed by the Supersoul. The sage was standing on one leg, but as soon as he saw the 3 deities had appeared before him, he was so pleased to see them all together that despite great difficulty, he approached them on one leg. Thereafter he began to offer prayers to the 3 deities who were seated on different carriers, a bull, a swan, and Garuda, and who held in their hands a drum, kusa grass, and a discus. The sage offered them his respects by falling down like a stick. Purport: Danda means a long rod, and Vat means like. Before a superior, one has to fall down on the ground just like a stick, and this sort of offering of respect is called Dandabat. Atri Rishi offered his respect to the 3 deities in that way. They were identified by their different carriers and different symbolic representations. In that connection, it is stated here that Lord Vishnu was sitting on Garuda, a big aquiline bird. Aquiline is a nice word. Look that word up. Aquiline. Aquiline. I think it means like what?
It is like an eagle.
Yeah, like an, because he has a beak. and was carrying in his hand a disc. Brahma was sitting on a swan and had in his hand kusa grass, and Lord Shiva was sitting on a bull and carrying in his hand a small drum called Damaru. Atri Rishi recognized them by their symbolic representations and different carriers, and thus he offered them prayers and respects. Atri Muni was greatly pleased to see the three devas were gracious towards him. His eyes were dazzled by the effulgence of their bodies, and therefore he closed his eyes for the time being. Since the deities were smiling, he could understand that they were pleased with him. Their glaring bodily effulgence was intolerable to his eyes, so he closed them for the time being. But since his heart was already attracted by the deities, somehow or other he gathered his senses, and with folded hands and sweet words he began to offer prayers to the predominating deities of the universe. The great sage Atri said, "O Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva, you have divided yourself into three bodies by accepting the three modes of material nature, as you do in every millennium. For the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation, I offer my respectful obeisances unto all of you, and beg to inquire whom of you three I have called by my prayer." See, he didn't know. So he's trying to figure out, which one of them did he call. Atri Muni called for the Supreme Personality Godhead, Jagat Ishvara, the Lord of the universe. The Lord must exist before the creation, otherwise how could he be its Lord? If someone constructs a big building, this indicates that he must have existed before the building was constructed. Therefore, the Supreme Lord, the Creator of the universe, must be transcendental to the material modes of nature. But it is known that Vishnu takes charge of the mode of goodness, Brahma takes charge of the mode of passion, and Lord Shiva takes charge of the mode of ignorance. Therefore, Atri Muni said that Jagat Ishvara, the Lord of the universe, must be one of you. But since three of you have appeared, I cannot recognize whom I have called. You are also kind. Please let me know who is actually Jagat Ishvara, the Lord of the universe. In fact, Atri Rishi was doubtful about the constitutional position of the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, but he was quite certain that the Lord of the universe cannot be one of the creatures created by Maya. His very inquiry about whom he had called indicates that he was in doubt about the constitutional position of the Lord. Therefore, he prayed to all three. Kindly let me know who was the transcendental Lord of the universe. He was certain, of course, that not all of them could be the Lord, but the Lord of the universe was one of the three. I called for the Supreme Personality Godhead, desiring a son like him, and I thought of him only. But although he is far beyond the mental speculation of man, all three of you have come here. Kindly let me know how you have come, for I am greatly bewildered about this. Purport. Atri Muni was confidently aware that the Supreme Personality Godhead is the Lord of the universe, so he prayed for the one Supreme Lord. He was surprised, therefore, that three of them appeared. The great sage Maitreya continued, upon hearing Atri Muni speak in this way and that way, the three great deities smiled, and they replied in the following sweet words. The three deities told Atri Muni, "Dear Brahmana, you are perfect in your determination, and therefore, as you have decided, so it will happen. It will not happen otherwise. We are all the same person upon whom you were meditating, and therefore we have all come to you." Atri Muni specifically thought of the personality of Godhead, the Lord of the universe, although he had no clear idea of the Lord of the universe, nor of his specific form, Mahavishnu, from whose breathing millions of universes emanate, and into whom they are again withdrawn, may be accepted as the Lord of the universe. Garbhodakshay Vishnu, from whose abdomen sprouted the lotus flower, which is the birthplace of Brahma, may also be considered the Lord of the universe. Similarly, Kshirodakshay Vishnu, who is the super soul of all living entities, may also be considered the Lord of the universe. Then, under the order of Kshirodakshay Vishnu, the Vishnu form within this universe, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, may also be accepted as lords of the universe. Vishnu is the Lord of the universe because he is its maintainer. Similarly, Brahma creates the different planetary systems and the population. So he may also be considered the Lord of the universe. Or Lord Shiva, who is ultimately the destroyer of the universe, also may be considered its Lord. Therefore, since Atri Muni did not specifically mention whom he wanted, all three, Brahma, Vishnu, and Lord Shiva, came before him. They said, since you were thinking of having a son exactly like the Supreme Personality Godhead, the Lord of the universe, your determination will be fulfilled. In other words, one's determination is fulfilled according to the strength of one's devotion. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 9.25, Yanti Deva Ratan Devan Pritrin Yanti Pritrivata. If one is attached to a particular demigod, one is promoted to the abode of that demigod. If one is attached to the Pitas or forefathers, one is promoted to their planet. And similarly, if one is attached to the Supreme Personality Godhead Krishna, one is promoted to the abode of Lord Krishna. Atri Muni had no clear conception of the Lord of the universe. Therefore, the three presiding deities who were actually the lords of the universe in the three departments of the modes of nature all came before him. Now, according to the strength of his determination for a son, his desire would be fulfilled by the grace of the Lord. You will have sons who will represent a partial manifestation of our potency, and because we desire all good fortune for you, those sons will glorify your reputation throughout the world. Thus, while the couple looked on, the three deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, disappeared from that place after bestowing upon Atri Muni the benediction. Thereafter, from the partial representation of Brahma, the moon god was born of them. From the partial representation of Vishnu, the great mystic Dattatreya was born. And from the partial representation of Shankara, Lord Shiva, Durvasa was born. Now you may hear from me of the many sons of Angira. So this is a wonderful pastime. But it shows that without knowing specifically the name of God and the qualities of God, just like we're learning in the second canto a huge amount of information about who Krishna is and what his qualities are and what he prefers, what he doesn't prefer, and how to please him, and all this information is being given. So Dattatreya is an example of someone who's not clear about who is God. And does, Atri Muni. And also, he's not clear about having a pure desire for Krishna. So he wants someone like Krishna, but he doesn't know who Krishna is exactly. So all three personalities appeared because all three of them are Jagadishwara, controllers of the world. But Vasudeva and Devaki, they specifically meditate on Krishna, and they meditated for thousands of years. They were so determined. So this is an interesting history. I thought I would talk about it today. So we'll stop right there. Are there any questions? Haribol. Praise to Prabhupada ki jai.
This confusion is from long time. Who is the God from all three?
Well, no, it was settled by the demigods. They once asked that question, and they sent a devotee to find out. And he came back and said, it's Lord Vishnu. There's no doubt about it. He's the Supreme Personality Godhead. That was already settled long ago. But, people act as if there's a question about that thing. So even Atri Muni wasn't sure. So therefore, we have to regularly come to class and hear these things, right? So the person that went was the brother of Lord Shiva, the son of Brahma, and the devotee of Vishnu. So he And therefore, he could go see all three of them, right? And because he had a relationship with all three of them, that's why he was chosen by the demigods to go. Okay. Haribol.